as you said about building lists in Titlewave, one thing that I'd like you to do as you do add items to a list is to leave notes on each copy or each item as to why you're adding it to the list. If it's an award-winning book, for example, Young Hoosier books for the next school year, make sure you note on each title if it's an intermediate or a picture book or what. One fast way to do this, and I'm logged in here at Menominee, if I mouse over to State Resources and I hover there, you'll see the little flyout that comes down. There's lots of great lists that they have put together for you. For example, the Elliott Rosewater books, those are the high school level state books. You'll notice that there's no mention on this flyout area here, this drop down when we hovered, of Young Hoosiers. And so to get to those, if we go down to see all topics for Indiana, we can go into a separate page and you'll see the Young Hoosier books listed here across the top. You have the 2012 right here for Rosewater books. Then you've got the picture books, audiovisual, and the intermediates there are over here on the right side. The AV ones, I don't particularly want those as our first choice. We'll consider those, but for right now I'm looking only at print items, and so I'm going to begin with say the intermediate level. And so as I open that list up, you'll notice if you have over here on the right side, if you have title check selected over here, and I would really encourage you to have that, you'll notice as you're looking down through the list, we have some of these items already existing at Menominee. In fact, this is last year's list that I'm looking at. And so you'll see the different colors there on the title check area designating that yes, we have that exact match. If it's red, probably if it's the dark orange, and maybe if it's the light orange down here. Now, the reason I went into last year's list is I wanted to show you also as you come in, you have these bars here at the top will let you actually drill down. So if I click on Indiana State Awards up here, I can then come down into my list and I can pick the 2012-2013 list. And so I'm going to do that right now. Let me find the right one. Picture books, intermediate, there we go. And now I'm looking at the 2012-2013 intermediate books. Once again, I check over here on the right side, title check. I have that box checked, and I see that there's 51 titles to pick from. Now, by titles, what they mean are different versions of the title, different binding types. If possible, I would prefer that we only buy Follett bound. Obviously, that's not always available, so the second choice would be publisher hardcover if that's the only thing that's available. Third choice would be paperback. So for example, the case of Mistaken Identity here, publisher hardcover is the only option that we have for that one. So I'm going to go ahead and check that I want that item, and then my next step would be to go up here and add it to a list. Of course, you want to make a new list, call it whatever you want to call it, maybe winter 2012, January 2012. I like to give it a month and a year, that way I know when the list started. But to leave a note on an item, for example this one here, checking it will let me quickly add it to my list, but if I want to look at more details, I click on the little blue icon, the eye there, and I can go in, and at this point I can check that I want that item on the right side, but the notes block here is important. So I could say Young Hoosier Book Award, intermediate, 12-13. Now, there's no save button. As soon as I would say return to results or click on that or click on next, it's going to add those notes, and you'll see those notes appear right below the title. You'll also see on the right side that the checkbox is still selected for wanting that item. Now let me show you the same thing a different way. If I click and go into that item, this time I clicked on the book cover, I can check the box here and I can say the same thing, Young Hoosier Book Award, intermediate, 12-13, return to results, and it will show me the same thing. It'll put my notes right underneath there. Alright, so as you go through and build your list, pay attention to any of the items that would show up with colors on the side. Remember, you might have multiple pages of items. For example, I've got pages 1 through 3, so if I go to page 2 and I scroll through, I see the Night Fairy. I probably have that copy for certain because I have a red and I have some darker orange colors. So I may not need a copy of that because I already have a copy in my collection. The collection numbers, the title check, is based upon the most recent upload of records to the Titlewave website, and I try to do that at least twice a year. Everything should be updated and ready for you to use right now. So no need to worry about that part of it. If you needed to go back in, you can always click on these bars and you can go and jump from the intermediate area to possibly the picture book area, back and forth through the list to build your lists. Now notice that when you do that, sometimes you have to make sure that you have saved things to a list, and in this case I have not. So just a reminder, make sure that you create a new list, call it whatever you want to call it, and then click add to list so that you're actually adding it. Alright, that's it for now. If you have questions, give me a call or an email. Thanks.